Hello and welcome to the Voyage. Episode 10, actually. I honestly cannot believe I kept it up for 10 episodes. Cheers to that. And because every time I'm eating or drinking something in any of my videos, everybody asks, that's peppermint tea. Well, I shouldn't say everybody. People wind up asking somewhere. In this video, since I really haven't had time to be playing Stowe this week, to be honest with you, I really haven't kept up with the patch notes in the last 2 weeks either, which is unusual for me. I'm usually on top of them, telling my fleet what's new in the patch notes, but when I get busy, that happens. So in this one, I'm going to answer some questions, and comments, make comments on comments, if you will, on past episodes. Starting with episode 7, because episode 6 was a very similar show. Starting with episode 7, which was a look at the Foundry. The Foundry UI isn't very pretty. He's happy to see examples of how it functions and what goes into creating user-generated content. Well, I'm going to make a comment on this. Not a lot of people know this, but the Foundry was never designed for Star Trek Online. That's why it looks vastly different. And it's very ugly. It was designed for Dungeons & Dragons Neverwinter. When the owners of Dungeons & Dragons went to the developer community, they said, we wanted the ability for you to have for the players to have user-generated content. So come with us with a plan to introduce that into the game right off. Well, Cryptic did that, but they wanted to go at them with a working prototype at least. So they used Stowe, the Foundry. Since Stowe had a bigger player base than Champions Online did at the time, I think it still does. They used Stowe. It became very popular in the Foundry. The developers went to CBS, and CBS said okay to put the Foundry into Stowe, which is actually where it comes from. That's also why it looks so different. It is very limiting. One of the biggest things on the forums is they want the developer staff to create content with just Foundry stuff, but at the same time, it's going to have to be. Because if they were allowed to do everything that the developers were allowed to do to make a featured episode, I could see that being abused very easily. I mean, it used to be that you could disable everything on an individual. Or, actually that one where you were at the Coliseum, they used to take all of your inventory and put it into a box at the end of the map. Something like a box. And also another comment is one of my favorite content authors, his name is Captain Rovo. I'll put his name in the description because it's Captain_ROVO. Or RIVO. I'll look it back up. He created episodes like The Worst of All Worlds and the Temple of the Path Wraiths, which are designed to be played in that order. Worst of All Worlds comes before Temple of the Path Wraiths. Pretty nice little featured episode. If you're ever interested in the Foundry, there's a podcast. I listen to it off and on. I'm not a dedicated listener to it. It's called Starbase UGC. Episode 8. It was on the clipping error that I mentioned in that video. Also, this caused a rift between me and a fleet member for a little bit. Well, not just a fleet member, members of my fleet. That was awesome. A clipping error in the map design right there, and it's possible to just get into the model of the starbase there. Not bad. And he also thanks me for the interview, because that was the man behind MMO Anthropology. In the forums it was hinted that it was no error, but a dev actually clarified that a little more since I made that comment. It started out as an error that they decided to leave. The shuttle bay area underneath is a taste for things to come. As if you go down there and look straight up at the ops section, you can actually see some things that they intend to release later. Like I was able to see the plants before the featured the featured project came into play. On episode 9, the Regent class starship, I will discuss the Rift a little later with my fleet. He comments that he is happy that they brought back the weird AOE ship selection editing when standing near the officer. Also, and I'm happy about that too, because I used it. Because if you're actually talking to the ship selection officer, you can't double click to have something appended to your ship. It doesn't work that way. But if you have it in your editing window and just have the proper ship selected, you can double click and say it there. Cryptic originally said it was a bug, and that's why they removed it. It's important to note that it's been a bug the entire time I've been playing. They brought it back due to a lot of complaints that it was removed, as it's not a very easily exploited bug, as it doesn't work on your ship selection officer on your ship, as you can only select shuttlecraft through that officer. I haven't checked since they brought it back, since they brought this quote-unquote bug back. So it's not like it was an easily exploited bug. Do I plan to do any episodes in any other games other than Stowe? As it's a friend of mine, and he could see that me losing content ideas in the future, as they start slowing down right when they start developing a new series. And Season 7 is coming in November. At least that's when it was slated. And so yeah, I actually have a character in Champions Online. I intend to do some video content there. I also intend to do stuff in other MMO games if I get a character there. But lately I haven't had time to even get on Stowe, let alone have multiple MMO games. Which is why my tagline is a look at different MMO games with a focus on Stowe. So that's always good for me. Do you have a Facebook fan page? The answer is yes. I'll post a link in the description. It's always there. At least when I started the fan page. It's The Voyage Show. It's facebook.com/The Voyage Show. Also, I have one for basic computer help. It's a little older, so I don't have the vanity name. For me to get it to have a vanity name, I have to have 25 followers, but I didn't do much to promote the basic computer help fan page yet. Alright, I'm back. I had to go do something. The rift with some of my fleet mates. Some of my fleet mates became concerned when they saw that some of my episodes of Chatbox was open. Some of my episodes of chat boxes are open. Some of them, as you see, it's minimized. Usually if I have to have the user interface open. They became concerned because every once in a while I get tells. One episode there was a tell, and he perfectly knew that the tell was going to be in the video. When I realized that his tell was in the video, I went to him and went, do you want me to... Because I wound up using it in the video anyways. He gave me a website. He said, I went to him and I said, did you know your tell wound up in my video? I want to know if you don't mind that. Can I post it in the video? Yada, yada, yada. Mostly to my fleet mates and to anybody that finds me on Stowe that gets concerned that I might post something. If I find out, as I'm doing a review, and I find out that something personal wound up getting into the video, either I will see if I can find a way to edit it out, or I've literally done this. Scrapped hours of video and reshot it. Well, I can't say hours. I have scrapped nearly an hour's worth of video for one episode because I had private tells. Some of them were to fleet mates, some of them were against, not against. Some of them were fleet mates, some of them were to friends, some of them, I just didn't really care. Think that they wanted that information out there in public, or I didn't want it out there in public. And a technical question. As some people know that I shoot with a Nikon D3100, And it just got darker in this room. I just realized that. How do I get it to focus? As it doesn't always autofocus. One quick trick is I'll sit where I want to be in the frame, have the camera all set up, and I use something like this, which is a remote trigger. This is the Nikon MC-DC2. That's a cheap little trigger. I mainly got it because I like to take pictures of the stars. And one day I'm going to go way out in the middle of BFE and try to take star lines, which are where you hold the shutter open and get lines in the stars. So I wound up using this to focus and then start the video and sit down. The reason that a DSLR camera does not autofocus in video is here. Listen to this. Now, I didn't hear anything, but when I go to edit this video, you will hear the servos moving around in the LCD. That is because the mic, not the LCD in the lenses, that is because the mic on these SLR cameras are right next to the lens, which is not where it should be. Most digital cameras, the mic is as far away from the lens where it won't get covered by the hand. But even Canon has the same problem. It's an SLR issue, it's because of the way they're designed. Alright, so yeah, that is about it. Any content you want me to talk about in future episodes, just let me know. And, have a nice day as I go and change some brakes, because my car needs them.